Hello and welcome to this next session where I will be working through a series of objective test questions on the topic of cost of equity. My name is Mike Weaver. I work as a senior tutor for Kaplan Financial, and amongst other things, I teach the CIMA F2 Advanced Financial Reporting paper. Before we move into looking at specific questions on cost of equity, I just wanted to remind everybody of where this topic fits in or sits in terms of the syllabus. Now, CIMA have identified and described an area of the syllabus as financing capital projects. This is 15% of your exam and therefore is about 9 questions out of your 60 questions in the exam. There are a number of topics that will be tested across those 9 questions: sources of long-term finance, cost of debt, weighted average cost of capital, cost of equity, which is what we're going to look at in this session, and other topics, for example, like yield to maturity. Now, this area of the syllabus, financing capital projects, is an area where formulas are provided for you in the exam. So if you look inside the formulae box there on the left-hand side in the blue box, there is a formula called the DVM, or the dividend valuation model. And this enables us to work out KE, or the cost of equity. Now, before we try and apply that to exam standard questions, I just wanted to look at a couple of things from a technical standpoint. First of all, there is a dividend valuation formula for scenarios where there is no growth expected in dividends. So here, the cost of equity is equal to the current dividend divided by the ex-div share price. This is a dividend. This is, a post-dividend share price, the share price after the dividend has been paid. Sometimes in exam questions, you're given the share price before a dividend is paid, and that's described as the cum-div price. Now, many shareholders demand constant growth in their dividends. The DVM formula that enables us to work out the cost of equity for scenarios where there is dividend growth is the one that you're given in the exam. Now, it might look slightly different here for the moment. Cost of equity is D0, which is generally the current dividend, multiplied by 1 plus G, where G is the rate of growth of expected in dividends, divided by P0, the ex-dividend share price again, plus G. Okay, now the D0 multiplied by 1 plus G, that's effectively the dividend in 1 year's time. Yeah, the current dividend, D0 multiplied by 1 plus the rate of growth. So if that growth was 5%, it would be D0 multiplied by 1.05. We'd expect the dividend in a year's time to be 5% higher than it is now. And that D1 effectively is what you've got on the formula sheet. Yeah, so this little D1 here is D0, 1 plus the rate of growth in there as well. So let's look at a couple of questions that require us to apply our knowledge of the cost of equity. So first of all, then, let's look at question 11. So question 11 here, cost of capital. Now, this question says calculate the cost of equity using the DVM, the dividend valuation model. State your answer as a percentage to 1 decimal place. So in the exam, you will have to enter your answer into a box. And hopefully, of course, that is the right answer, and the computer can recognize that it is the right answer. So let's have a look at applying the formula here. Cost of equity equals the dividend D0. So let's have a look. Do we have that? The ordinary shares are quoted at 750. A dividend of 60 is about to be paid. Okay, so D0 would be 0.6. And it also says here, look, that there is no growth expected in dividends. So the formula is the simple one. KE equals a constant dividend over P0, the ex-div share price. Now, in this scenario, the current dividend divided by the ex-div price. Now we've got 750 as the share price, but the dividend is about to be paid. So it hasn't been paid yet. So that is not an ex-div share price. So you have to subtract the 60 from that and then express the whole thing as a percentage. So let's look 0.6 divided by 6.9 in effect, isn't it? Times by 100. I work that out as being 8.7%. So that's applying the cost of equity formula, the dividend valuation model, where no growth is expected in dividends. Let's move on and have a look at another question. This time, we're asked for the cost of equity. Give your answer as a percentage to 1 decimal place. Crucially, this time, we've got the equity shares quoted at cum div. So this is before the dividend is paid. We've got a dividend of 10 cents per share, and we've got a rate of growth of 3%. So here then, cost of equity equals the dividend at D0, if you like. Multiply that by 1 plus the rate of growth divided by the X dividend. Remember the X dividend share price. So I need to deduct the dividend from 186 there. And don't forget, we need to add in the rate of growth here as well. So KE equals, if you multiply the top part of that there, you get 0.103 over 1.76 plus 0.03. And of course, whatever comes out in your calculator, you have to express that as a percentage. I get 0.0885227 on my calculator to the 1 decimal place. That's going to be 8.9%. So this is a question where the examiner wants you to take into account your knowledge of an expected growth in the rate of dividends and so on. So the formula given to you in the exam and made available to you on the screen will help you with that particular type of question. Okay. Another type of question that I wanted to work was a question very much like question 12 here. Okay, so this question here, ED has just paid a dividend of 10 cents per share. The cost of equity is given to us, so they know what the cost of equity is. Dividends are expected to grow by 3%. The question is asking us for the ex-div share price to the nearest cent. So I'm going to have to create a bit more space for myself here. And so that's what I'm going to do. So here then, let's remind ourselves of the formula. Again, nothing like a bit of repetition in the world of accounting. D0, 1 plus the rate of growth over the ex-div share price plus the rate of growth, which very occasionally I call R for some reason, the rate of growth, rather than G. That's my problem, I think, getting old. But let's say then, so the cost of equity here is given to us, isn't it? It's 15%. Dividend 1 plus the rate of growth over the ex-div share price plus 0.03. So if I rearrange the formula, 0.15 minus 0.03 leaves on the other side 0.103 over P0. And what we typically do then is multiply both sides, don't we, by P0. And we end up with P0 times 0.12 equals 0.103. And we can divide both sides, can't we, now by 0.12, can't we? 0.12 divided into the 0.103. So what does that give us? 0.103 divided by 0.12. That gives us, in my calculator here anyway, it says 0.8583. So to the nearest cent, that's looking like 86 cents. So let's go and have a look to see if there is an option here with 86 cents. Yes, there is. We have D. Yeah, so we've got D there, 86 cents. So again, another question asking us to apply and use the cost of equity formula, but this time, if you like, the missing figure is the ex-dividend share price, not the cost of equity itself. So another example. Okay, so lots of rearranging of the formula here, which will take a little bit of time and practice, and recalling some of our GCSE maths here. Right, let us do one more question. Question 20. So question 20, the dividend per share that was paid out to the nearest cent. That's what it's asking us for here. We're told that the cost of equity is 12.5%. The shares are currently quoted at 6.50 and a dividend has recently been paid, which means this share price must be the ex-dividend share price, yeah, P0 if you like, or P0. So let's start off again, and the cost of equity is equal to the dividend that was paid out, that's the missing figure, multiplied by 1 plus the rate of growth, divided by the ex-div share price plus the rate of growth. So 0.125 equals D0 1.04 over 6.5 plus 0.04. I'm going to rearrange things a little bit. 0.125 minus the 0.04 leaves me with D0 1.04 over 6.5. 0.085 equals D0 1.04 over 6.5. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to multiply both sides here by the 6.5. And if I multiply 6.5 by 0.085, I end up with 0.5525 equals D0 1.04. So D0 must be the 0.5525 divided by the 1.04, which on my calculator gives me 0.53125. Dividend to the nearest cent, then it looks like 53 cents, doesn't it? It's just over 53. It's nearer to 53 cents than it is to 54. So let's have a look. Yes, we do have an option there, A, 53 cents. So cost of equity, a very technical topic, but one where there is a formula given to us in the actual exam, which can be very handy. I hope you found that useful, and I also hope that you practice and practice and practice some more. Thank you very much, and best of luck when you attempt the exam.